you've got 60 voices stood next to you, suddenly switched on, and all doing the same thing, it's fantastic.
When you're just in the middle of this glorious sound and you're, contributing to it, it's just such a joy to be able to do that every night.
A lot of people ask you, is this your full-time job? They ask you what you do with your days. And I say, no, that's my day job as well. It's a full-time job. I've been in the chorus now 8 years. I still get a buzz walking up Floral Street. It's just the most amazing building. Do I really work there? It's just such a thrill. I'll never get over it, I don't think. They do try and give us the morning off after shows, but when there's a lot of shows to do, that's not always possible. This morning, I've got a costume fitting for Don Carlo, which is one of my favourite operas.
We've had Christmas since then, haven't we?
We're usually working on about 4 or 5 different operas at the same time in lots of different languages. They can range from Czech to French, German, Italian, Russian. There's the Mussorgsky opera, Boris Godunov, which I just found impossible to learn. It's about 4 hours long. The chorus are on all the time. It's all in Russian. And I'm sure any Russian people would be up in arms to hear me say this, but to my ear, a lot of the vowels sound the same and a lot of the words sound the same. So I found that really, really difficult to learn. As soon as you wear something like this, you just stand very straight.
Yes.
We have a chorus here of 48 full-time singers. That's supplemented by the extra chorus, and that can be 20, 30 voices sometimes, depending on the production.
We've been working on Nabucco for a long, long time now because there's a lot to learn in it.
You are too nice.
We've worked with Risotti before. We know that he's incredibly dynamic.
You have to be a kind of drum. Put drum inside of the voice. And very, 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 very dark.
He asks so much of us. That's great.
And sottovoce. But sottovoce doesn't mean piano.
He understands a lot about voice. So particularly when he was talking to the men and telling them to do this very kind of noise, he was telling them how to do it safely.
Sottovoce is this one. So, what's going on here? This is sottovoce. But you can hear very well, because I'm doing sottovoce fortissimo. 1.
The result was fantastic, and they all sounded amazing, and suddenly it was like, wow, that's really interesting.
This is an awful lot of words. I mean, thousands and thousands of words stuffed into this head.
I think we've become a very specific memory vessel, because you learn things for a very specific period of time, and then it disappears. And it goes into the drawer somewhere at the back here, and then 3 years later, you open the drawer and you take it out again.
It's like a conveyor belt, so it's chugging along, and then it's in your head, and then it chugs straight back out. Yeah. And another one comes along after it.
Well, it's a very competitive job. It's very hard sought after.
When I applied, I think there were 4 jobs available, 2 sopranos, a bass and a tenor job, and 400 people applied for those jobs.
A chorus job in Britain is gold dust. There must be less than 100 full-time jobs in the whole of the country, perhaps a bit more. So we tend to hold on to it. So it's my 14th season.
I found being a soloist a very lonely thing to do. I was away from home a lot, so you were in a hotel room a lot. I worked here as an extra and totally fell in love with the place. I remember the first lunch break, I went upstairs and there's a wonderful view, the Staff and Artists Canteen, and I looked out over London and I thought, I'd just love to work here full time.
We've all very much chosen to be here and have strived to get to where we are now. And that's why this chorus is of the quality that it is.
For me, absolutely brilliant. You know, you can take kids to school in the morning. If we've got an afternoon off, make tea for them, and then come back in and do a show. So I'm just nipping out kids to do La Bohème or whatever. I'll be back at 10:30. Bye.
Move! Canori! Gira ancora! Can you turn?
It's a bit confusing today because we have Italian directors, and quite a lot of what they say gets lost in translation.
You move also! All the time. Vortex, 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 vortex.
There's like 80 people running around in circles, and there's 3 people who don't speak English terribly well trying to control them. But, you know, that's what kind of happens, and it will settle down. This is only our 2nd rehearsal.
I think we're running from the enemy.
I think we're panicking.
But I think the whole thing is like a whirlpool.
Yeah.
I think that's the effect. It's quite difficult to sing because it's quite a fast chorus and having to manoeuvre around these stones without knocking them over.
But I think to the audience we will look like we're panicking, which is great, which I think is what he wants.
Yeah, we're panic, yeah.
This is our dressing room. This is where we all come back to, where we all either occasionally maybe moan about something, not very often, of course. A lot of laughter goes on in here, I can tell you.
This is our home. Oh, this is if you feel like doing a bit of yoga. Got a yoga mat. This is just a few bits and pieces that I might need. You never know, it might be sunny. Yeah, variety of might need items. Because we're here a lot of the time. She knits a lot. She's a very good, she's brilliant knitter. There's a bay, which is a knitting bay.
Knitting bay.
Lot of knitting.
I don't know how much time you get to do this in Nabucco. The magic flute, you'll get about 10 of those knitted. Per night.
Per night, exactly.
You can really learn a lot about somebody's life just looking in their bay and what kind of photos they have up, and you say, is that your husband? Or
I'm now worried that my bay doesn't say enough about me. I need to put some more pictures up.
And with the schedule gets very busy, I literally come into work and I see what costume is there and then think, oh, right, it's that show tonight. And then when you're going on stage, you're thinking about what the director wanting. You can also be cross-referencing with your colleagues, just double-checking that I know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, they pick up a stick. Yeah, and then it goes.
The modern dress of the show, I think people can relate to it more. It's much more familiar.
The nice thing is we haven't got wigs as well in this show, which is good. But, it could be worse. We could be in suits of armour. And, in that case, you discover you want to drink your coffee, but that's as close to your face you can get.
Everybody, of course, knows Vacantiere. It's the big, famous chorus.
The chorus here is spectacular. They are fantastic, and they are really devoted to the music and to the text. They do everything for the music, and they are so special, really. I'm impressed.
When you're looking out at the 2,000 odd people who are listening to you, it really just flows through your body, that kind of emotion.
Even now, when I've been in the chorus for 20 years, there are those moments which are just exciting to be there.
What I hope that people will feel at the end of Nabucco is moved, because when it's put over well, the audience can just go home in shreds. And if it's their first opera, just keep coming back.